laughing compound. It's gonna tell me to make sure the valve's sealing good.
Hello everybody, my name is Kayla Rundle and welcome back to another YouTube video. And again, I am at GPI. I wanted to show you guys what I was going to be doing on my car and more of the machine work, specifically on my head package. So I chose to go with the GPI Max 2.0 heads and cam package. They came up with all the specs on everything themselves. They use a brand new set of the Brodix BR7 cast heads. Those are actually made in the USA, which I love to support American-made companies. With the entire package all together, this is with a stock bottom end, not touching your block. The Max 2.0 package is a bolt-on application. They designed it in a way that you can install this in your own garage. So you don't need machine work, you don't need to pull the block. It's quite easy to install. And this whole package brings over 160 wheel horsepower just through heads and cam, which is crazy. And I know the hype has been on NA builds lately because it's very difficult to get good power staying naturally aspirated, meaning you don't have boost, no turbos, no supercharger, anything. It's really difficult to build a really great motor. But if you do decide to get heads, heads are what drive the most power into your engine. The rest is basically just a vacuum pump. So all the power does come out of the heads. So the heads are definitely one of the most important things on your engine to make more power, especially if you're staying NA. And you guys might be wondering if you are interested in going with boost down the road. I was talking with the GPI team because I know some of us change our decisions down the road. So let's say I do want to go for boost later. This is possible. These heads are basically LS7 heads, and they're much more durable because they have a larger deck. This increases the clamping force and reliability of the heads, meaning it is stronger to hold boost in the heads. Obviously, you would have to change out your camshaft if you were to get a power adder, like a supercharger or turbo and whatnot, but that's really it. These heads are durable NA and for boost. It gives you a big amount of power, but you are not losing your stock hood. So you don't have to cut anything out. That's only if you go with the Holley Performance high ram intake manifold, but there's many other options, like for example, what I'm doing the MSD intake manifold, which has a lower clearance, so you can keep your stock SS hood if you don't want to go with a larger cowl hood. Because these heads are LS7 heads, you will not be able to fit an LS3 intake manifold any longer. Everything from the camshaft up does have to be rebuilt, but it's pretty easy to do yourself. But I do recommend bringing your car to a professional to do it properly. There was a few mistakes that I would have missed if I would have done it completely by myself, but I have faith in all of you guys. If you guys are comfortable in doing it yourself, nothing's stopping you. They are getting machined at Coots & Company, which is also a part of Gwatney Performance. So they can do machine work. Again, we are going to be doing a short block or long block. I'm not sure which one we are building yet, with all the same components as my motor. So if you guys are interested in everything put together and you want to get rid of the stock bottom end, we will have that available at the end of my build after this. But enjoy seeing my blocks getting machined. They are incredible. GPI pays so close attention to every single detail on my heads. I was in shock. It was unbelievable to see it all in action, so I hope you guys enjoy.
Just turn it off.
So we got my heads right here. These are the ones that are going to be going on my Camaro, and you gotta walk us through what we're doing.
We just got done doing the valve job, and we bowl blend all of our cylinder heads. So we're gonna go in here, we're gonna blend the bottom cuts into the venturi or the bowl of the intake port and the exhaust port with a carbide burr, and then we'll sand roll them, and then we'll go to the next step. This is an occupation that you get a lot of metal splinters. So
oh yikes, in your skin.
You can look, all these little things are splinters. Like, that's just, I mean, you look,
no,
y'all on the ground, I mean,
sparkles.
I mean, yeah, you just get glittery.
Glittery.
Glittery and splinters.
So what does exactly that do? Are you just like...
Well, I'm knocking that
evening
step down,
out?
so I roughed it in with a counterbore cutter, which is that 90-degree cut. And the
Right.
air, okay, so
you're just blending in the edge?
yeah, because air doesn't like sharp edges. Right now there's an edge right there.
Right.
So we're making heads efficient is what we really do in this industry.
Yeah.
Is making them flow as much air as possible. So anytime you're creating an edge, you need to soften it up, smooth it up, make it more roll.
Right.
That's really what we're doing. We're just blending everything in, so it's a nice, smooth transition to get the air out efficiently.
Yeah, so like that edge versus...
Well, you can feel the difference. It's a lot of feel.
I mean, you can see where the light catches it too.
Yeah. I punched out to 1 inch 420 thousandths. That's what that is right there. And I'm just blending it in so that lifts up there, because your air's actually coming into the cylinder in this hole, and it's going out of that hole. So anytime, that step right there really is not a big deal, because the air is coming in.
Right.
The air's going out, and it will.
It's like a wall for it.
It will recognize that. It'll kick the air. So we're softening that up. All right, so there's a little ridge right here, okay? Can you feel that? It's very minute, but it's there.
This one or
the purple line right at the bottom where I've ground up to? You feel that edge?
Yeah.
The air doesn't want that. So what I'm going to do is I can roll it. I can actually make this exhaust cutter that I use a radius. I'm going to blend it all the way up to the valve seat. It's going to look like this. See the difference?
Oh yeah, I mean I can totally see
That's how
it.
you make a little bit more power right there. Just a little bit. It makes it more efficient. But that's a
It's
fine line.
a huge difference.
Yeah, that's
though.
a fine line right there. You got to keep that, because that's your sealing surface.
Oh, on the edge where the purple ends, right there, the second one.
The gray line is where your valve's going to seal it. That's where your springs are actually seating the valve shut. That's when they close. That's where they'll actually seal that.
Yikes.
So, and I'll go in. We'll
So
sand,
it seals in the right
on that fine
there.
line. It's 40 thousandths wide. 40 thousandths. That's how wide it is. I don't know what's 40 thousandths. Probably the tip of a pencil. About 40 thousandths when it's sharpened.
Yeah.
Or when it's dull, I guess. But
Yeah, probably a little dull.
When it's dull. Yeah. Your exhaust has heat in it, so you want to get the heat out of the valve.
And then this one you can just leave the lid.
I'm gonna leave all the angles on that one. I'm gonna leave it just like that right there. That one's pretty much almost done. I just gotta finish grinding.
Heck yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna just continue on. Just.
Go.
That's kind of how it looks like that.
So he's machining my heads right now, and they did a little surprise for me. They put GPI on the side of the heads with, typically it says the Max 2.0 because that's what the package is. But with this one, they put a 416 since I'm getting the 416 block in my car. So something a little different than the usual. GPI and I might have an extra block with the same exact build as my Camaro. So I believe that will be available after my build's done. So one of you guys, if you would like, can get the exact same setup as me, because this thing's gonna be rowdy. And this is the first 416 build with the 416 block and then the Max 2.0 package from GPI. So we're not really sure on numbers yet for the power since it hasn't been done with all their machining numbers and everything. But as you can see, they do everything by hand, all the machine work in here, in-house. It's incredible. There's so much to learn. And this right here is the Max GPI Max 2.0 other heads. They are brand new heads from Brodix. Brand new. He said all the horsepower really comes out of the heads for this car. So this is where all the important stuff goes down.
All right, so we're gonna get a combustion chamber volume on this Max 2.0 BR7 Brodix casting. We're gonna put the long thread flat face plug that is applicable for this application all the way in there and seat it, and then we'll fill this combustion chamber up with 75% isopropyl alcohol because it's the closest thing to fuel. We don't use water because water is not fuel. So that's what it should look like right there before we put grease around the combustion chamber and put our plexiglass plate with a little hole in it. And we'll actually use a barrette, fill it up to, we have 100 cc's in here. We'll have about 100 cc's in here. We'll zero it out. We'll fill it up until it tells us what our actual number is.
Wow, that's all it is?
Yeah. And we go within the 0.2 of a cc, so. All this grease stuff does is help seal everything up. The valves and the plexiglass plate.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy. When people always say that, I always thought it hooks up to a machine. And they, like,
on what, when it's cc ahead?
Yeah.
No, that's it, man. That's how you do it right here. So I'll make a little barrier right here because you got to factor when you squeeze that plate down, you're going to have grease roll off into the combustion chamber if you don't do this. I'm pretty sure people don't do this. So the ones that know. This plate on here. We're actually doing it on the longest part of the intake side of the combustion chamber. You want to get every little bit of grease squeezed all the way to the edge of the chamber. At least that right there is what it should look like, grease all the way to the edge. That should be it right there. We're 71.6. Where's that right now?
Yeah, so look at the difference in this. Look at the difference in the structure of this Brodix casting and an OE LS7 casting. So much more material we have here, so we can raise the runner more. Look how much beefier the rocker stands are. See all this
That's
extra metal. And see the difference? No, obviously this casting weighs a little more.
You can hold that one with one hand. This one you better hold with two hands.
Those. Wow.
Now, this valve cover rail is where that intake has trouble. See how thin the valve cover rail is on OA? That MSD manifold slides in there pretty good. Brodix gives us a lot of extra rails, so if we're running aftermarket rocker gear, stuff like that, where we need that clearance, we can scoot the valve cover around and pick up some extra clearance. So I hate to cut that off, so I just usually just buzz the manifold a little bit. I'd rather buzz the manifold and leave the head alone. So if you want to look at the difference between, like this is a factory LS7 exhaust port, and look at the difference between, well, you know, we have a looser radius in the corners, ports overall.
Yeah, it's like very similar to me. I'm like,
well, it's not huge, but it's a different shape. And look around the guide, how nice this area is, and look around the guide there. So much more streamlined that is. They call that a fuel wing, and we can actually retain that in the Max head.
a fuel wing?
That's called a fuel wing. It actually helps us swirl, helps as the air enters the cylinder. It turns the air in the cylinder, so you get better atomization in the cylinder. Little details. One of the things the OE does, I mean, they're trying to build a product that's going to last 150,000 miles and drive every day on shitty gas and everything else, and test it in Alaska and in the middle of the Saudi desert. So you know, they're not able to take the liberties we are in something that's more specialized in product. So they don't cut.
This is for a reason.
Yeah.
We moved the valve job all the way out to the edge of the full OD. The size of this valve instead of 30,000 smaller, how it would be from the factory.
All that equates to power.
Right. It's a bunch of little things that add up to make it efficient in this very small area right here.
So guys, I'm at the flow bench for the heads, and I basically just want to put the heads on here along with Aaron that is here at GPI with me to show the process, to show you that the numbers on GPI's website are correct. They aren't skewed. I wanted to show you guys that it is proven with the airflow and the numbers that it's all correct. So GPI isn't messing around, because sometimes other companies can be questionable if the heads actually push that much air and make that much power on your application. So just wanted to show you guys the process of flowing your heads, and that GPI isn't lying. And yes, these heads are unreal. The work they put in it is worth it. The price is worth it. And this is why I chose to put these heads on my car. It's because of how much power they actually make for this specific application. These heads are built specifically for an LS3. Yes, you can eventually push boost, but they were tested for an NA-capable 416 LS3 motor. So that is why I picked these heads for my specific application.
What's that? About 1,320 from the head. Okay, look where this LS7 starts. 700. Straighter you can make that port, I don't care who, thinks they're God's gift to porting. The less angle you have, the straighter shot to that cylinder, the more efficient that port design is. So that's what it's all about. So in this Max deal, we start out with an inherently better designed cylinder head from the get-go. We say, okay, we like this because we can use LS7 intake hardware. We've already got a runner angle that's more desirable than an LS3. And then we combine that with a 12-degree valve angle, which also helps us because it frees up piston to valve clearance. We can run more free drops, so we don't have to have as big a valve relief. We don't get into piston to valve problems as readily. And then the other thing is, you're not shrouding the cylinder as much when that valve's open. Well, why don't we just throw an LS7 head on an LS3? Well, there's some good reasons why that doesn't work good. It didn't work good because the valves are too big to start with. An LS7 has a 200 valve, and if you put that in a 4065 bore, really your intake valve to bore ratio is way too high, and you start to shroud the valve. The other problem is the exhaust valve is way too close to the cylinder wall, and so that doesn't work well. Now and people have done it, and we've done it for people. We've retrofit small, medium bore engines with an LS7 head, and you can do it. But the thing you got to keep in mind is on that size, that cubic inch of engine, and even your engine, you don't need a great big huge runner. You need something, that's going to have a higher port velocity. Yeah, what we're trying to find out is at a given lift point, how much air can this cylinder head process? How much air can you move through this cylinder head? That's really what we're doing, because think about it, an engine is just an air pump, right?
Right.
The more air you can move, the more power you can make, because guess what? You're going to mix that air with fuel at a ratio of 13 to 1. So the more air, the more fuel, the bigger explosion, the more power.
Right.
It's that simple. Actually, I've already got it on exhaust, so I may do the exhaust first. We open up this valve, it's trying to find air. It can't find it any place but this hole. So all the air it gets is going to go through this hole, and we're going to measure. This is what we call a clay orifice, and we make that out of modeling clay, and air gets turbulent when it hits sharp edges.
Has it ever sucked in the clay?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Not completely, but usually you'll start hearing it'll get real noisy, and you'll hear a noise change. And it'll be all of a sudden it'll get noisy, and you'll look, and your clay's about halfway in the port, and you shut it down. That's a great question. You noticed I was trying to achieve 28 inches.
I saw you were looking there.
So that's what we're testing at. We're testing at 28 inches of vacuum. Flowed 100%. If we get all the air we were trying to flow, we could flow out of the fixed orifice. If it all left the cylinder head, then we would be flowing 316 CFM. But we're flowing, 75% of 316 CFM. So that's basically how a flow bench works. Did you see when it kind of went static up top? It quit gaining. Well, it quit gaining because if we could make that head continue to move air up top if we wanted to. But you know what we'd have to do to make that happen? We'd have to make this hole bigger. We'd have to make the minimum cross section bigger, which would, in effect, it would make it flow air. It would look pretty on the flow bench. So it'd just keep on climbing. It'd make a big old number, and people say, "Oh, look at that big number that head makes." But guess what? It would slow our airspeed down, so the cylinder wouldn't fill as efficiently on an engine like yours, and it would thus make less power. It would make less low end torque. It would ultimately make less power. So we'd have a wonderful flow bench number.
Yeah.
We'd get out and run at the track. What do you want? What's in your wallet?
But thank you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I had such a blast here at seeing all the machining of my block, my heads, my valve covers, all of the above. I will have the links in the description down below for the Max 2.0 heads, so be sure to check that out. It's a heads and cam package, and I'm excited to show you guys the numbers the motor makes with the heads and everything all put together in the end. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you all have an amazing day or night, whatever time it is, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.